is Chef Yves Dechaine, and we're in the Greener Villages Learning Kitchen today with Luc McLaughlin, owner of LJ McLaughlin Auto Services. Welcome, Luc.
Thanks for having me, Yves.
Right on. So, Luc, you're a mechanic out Gary Way, in my neck of the woods. What kind of services do you offer?
We offer a little bit of everything, right from inspections and oil changes to basically alignments. We're fully set up for right from engine swaps to your minor wipers and light bulbs. So
I always ask that. Is this something that you kind of fell into? Was this an affinity that you always had?
I've always loved working on bikes and snowmobiles and stuff. So it's something I've always wanted to do. Pretty well had my mindset going into high school what I wanted, and just kind of stuck to it. It's always been a passion. So
did you go to, say, NBCC or take that kind of course? Or?
Yep. So what I did is I started off in high school. I did a co-op program. I was in Fredericton, so we went to a shop in Fredericton. Worked. It was the afternoons for a semester. Got some hours in there. Then I actually came into a job working in Ormuckto, working evenings after school.
Okay.
It was 3 hours every evening, and after I was done high school, they chose to take me on, so I started right there, did my hours, and then took my blocks and went from there. So I kind of replaced the first year of schooling with a year's worth of hours, and then an 8-week block, and then that put me into the rest of my apprenticeship.
I had found out through mutual acquaintances that you also race at the 660 Speedway. So today I thought we would show people how to make an easy kind of a play on a pork sandwich that you can use to tailgate while you go down to the racetrack and kind of play around. So we're going to do something quick and easy, just like a shake and bake. I'm kind of making that Ricky Bobby
reference, yeah,
right there, which is like super easy. So we're going to make our own shake and bake. Shake and Bake is a great company, and it's a pre-packaged thing, but a lot of times pre-packaging means more money.
Yeah.
So you may have these things in your pantry that you can just kind of make yourself. So, and it's really simple to do. All we do is we grab a Ziploc bag or a resealable bag, and you add about 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs of your choice. I'm using panko because I like a crispy breadcrumb, right?
Yep.
There we go. Just toss that right in there. I use a little bit of garlic powder, about a teaspoon or so, some onion powder. There we go. A little bit of celery salt. Cornmeal. So I'm adding cornmeal here, and it's a white cornmeal, but that adds a little bit of a crunch and a little bit of a different texture. You don't have to add it if you don't have it, but I like to use it. I like to add maybe a little bit of cornflake too if you don't have. So if you have breadcrumb, add a little cornflake.
Something different.
Yeah, a little bit of salt, a little bit of cayenne pepper, just to give it a little bit of a zing.
A little bit of heat, perfect.
There you go. And a little bit of cracked black pepper, probably, I would say 1.5 teaspoons or so right there. And all we're going to do now is just seal it up, and I'll get you to just kind of shake it all together until everything is nice and homogeneous.
Awesome.
How did you get into racing?
I've always, liked going to watch racing. Went down there. I mean, the track's not far from the house, right? So, went down there. One of my friends said, seen a car for sale, a little 4-cylinder car back then. And he asked me. He said if he bought the car, if I'd help him work on it. He said that way there you get to you'll get to drive every second race, and you just do the mechanic part, and he'll do the, he'll buy it. So we started that way, and ran 2 races that way that season. The next year I had my own, and it's been going ever since.
Right on. So how long have you been racing?
I've been racing. This year's my 12th year.
Oh wow!
Yep,
Geez.
12th year racing. I've gone right through. I've tried every division at that track, like right from 4-cylinders to pro stocks or super late models. So
what are you racing now?
Right now I'm racing street stock. Yep.
Okay.
I got my own car now. Just something I can. It's a V8 division, rear wheel drive. It's lots of fun. It's a little more old school racing. It's steel bodies, so you can lean on each other and bang around a little bit. So it's a lot of good fun.
So what is street stock?
So street stock used to be, I guess, what the 4-cylinder division is now. It used to be, you buy a car off the street somebody was selling because they were done with it. You put a roll cage in it and you go racing.
Okay.
So now that's what kind of the 4-cylinder division's become, because street stocks, I mean, we run cars from the 70s and 80s. There's not many of them left around now, and especially out our area, they're all gone because they've all been raced and destroyed, right? So at this point now, it's basically based off a stock frame, mostly GMs, a couple Fords. Take your frame, they build a cage on them, and then basically at this point you just lay a body over top of it. It's got to be steel in a street stock division. Not huge horsepower. They're usually right around 300 horse. Automatic transmissions. I guess it's a stock chassis class with a couple improvements, and a steel body is what they are now.
What do you drive?
So mine is actually, it's a 73 to 77 Chev, full size, like a Chevelle or a Le Mans, something like that. You know, that's what the chassis is underneath. They're basically, like I said, fairly stock engine. Our division runs automatic 3 speeds. That's all you're allowed to run. If you go up into through the divisions, there's a couple of different options there for standards and stuff. But that's what we are.
Is there safety procedures? Is there any kind of different training that you need to know, or can you just be a guy like me and just say, I've got a car and I want to race?
Safety-wise is huge. You know, we run full cages, full equipment, 5-point harnesses, you know, neck supports. Everything is very, you know, I guess as safe as it can be. But yeah, no, it's very, you know, specs and rules. Everything's got to be up to date on your roll cages and up to date on your belts and your safety equipment. So it's, you know, very much so about the car being safe, and as far as the drivers wise, they keep track of it a little bit, you know, who's doing what, and if you're, you know, problematic, they can, you know, kind of help you along with that. But no, overall it's pretty, I guess, self-governing.
Do you have limitations on your engine size? Is that one of the rules? Or
very much so, yeah. So there's basically, as you go up through the divisions, the engines get more and more powerful, and you get more allowance. Street stock's pretty well stock style engines from, you know, the 70s and 80s, so it's pretty straightforward. There's limitations on every single bit of it, so there's not much, you know, open for debate. But it's
so you can't kind of tweak it to get a better push, or
there's always a little bit here and there. Like there's gray areas. There's you know, there's different options there, but for the most part, you're pretty well stuck to certain, you know, certain part numbers, certain dimensions, certain sizes. So
it's the race is all about the driver and his kind of technique and how he can kind of weave through and
very much so. The biggest thing is it's all about setup more than anything.
Okay.
I mean, as far as engines, everybody's on, you know, pretty close playing field. They tech them before and after every race, so you know, they've gone as far as pulling motors and sending them to get dyno tested. So
okay.
But suspension wise, you know, I mean, spring choices, shock choices, everything comes down to, you know, 1/8 of an inch and you know, 50-pound spring rates here and there. So it's very much in the handling more than it is the power.
We'll finish up these lovely pork chops right after these few messages. Welcome back to Easy Eats. Again, we're in the Greener Villages Learning Kitchen with Luc McLaughlin. Luc, we're going to continue on with these lovely pork chops. So we're going to make a shake and bake pork chop, something really easy to make. You're a family man, so you want to have something quick and easy when you're in this.
Yep.
So this is great, and it's something that you can do with the kids because they get to kind of
They'd love a shake
stuff
part for
around.
sure.
Exactly. So we've got our shake and bake, or our breading, I guess, in the bag right here. So we're going to just prep our pork chops for it. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of oil and just kind of paint them on, and this is going to help it kind of stick. So this is a different type of breading than you would say a schnitzel or say a chicken parm or things like that where you've got egg breading. This is just quick shake and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper on them. And there's a point too, is always season as you step. You always want to build flavors and layers. Okay. I guess kind of like cars, you want to make sure that all your parts are working.
Start from the start, yeah.
Exactly. So we'll flip these up just like this. There we go. Give them a little bit more. And you can use almost anything. We're using pork chops today, but again, we can use chicken thighs, chicken breasts, chicken legs. This breading is for anything you want to kind of bread. Fish as well, but fish shaken in the bag, it's a little delicate. So
okay, gotcha.
So what we're going to do now is we're just going to open the bag, and then we are going to just pop in a couple at a time, just like that. You're going to seal it up, and then just give them a good shake until they're nice and coated.
Good shaking.
And then once they're all coated, we're just going to line them on the parchment paper, and then we'll go from there.
There you go.
Right on. So you have another little shake like that. Perfect. And just massage it right in, just like that. And we got lovely. Oh, this one's a little bit better. There we go. Breaded pork chops, just like that. May as well put them all in just like this. And like I said, the kids or whoever, and it's always fun to do. If you're going to tailgate, this is great too, because you can just put these on the barbecue or fry them up, but we're going to bake them today. There you go, just shake them up.
Easy.
Just like this, and then you can serve these. Today we're doing a sandwich,
Yep.
but you can serve these with mashed potatoes or rice and vegetables and all that stuff too. The only thing is you can't keep the breading after it's done. It's like a one and done.
Gotcha.
Because of obvious things with cross-contamination and all that good
The pork in
stuff.
it, yep.
So there we go. These lovely breaded pork chops right here. I always like to just grab a little bit more and kind of push it into the, there we go. And there we go.
Perfect.
And that's pretty much it. We're gonna slide these into the oven, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about your shop. So you're a racer, but you got to be able to fund your project.
Exactly, yep.
So there we go. So we're gonna pop these in for probably about 10, 15 minutes or until they're done. So you own your own shop, Luke.
Yep.
Do you work on older vehicles, or is it more newer vehicles? What type of vehicle do you work on?
We're seeing a shift a little bit. Definitely, it used to be a lot of older stuff. Over the years, the vehicles just don't last like they used to, so you're not seeing a whole lot of the, 15, 20-year-old vehicles anymore. They're getting more in the, 7, 8-year-old. You're just outside of warranty is kind of what you're seeing a lot of. Obviously, warranty work a lot of times heads back to the dealer. Some of them even have maintenance packages now, but for the most part, we're seeing, your 3 and 4, your 5-year-old vehicles coming off of warranty that's starting to have some minor issues that are starting to come through.
Do you keep up with training and things like that?
There's a lot of it is, I shouldn't say self-taught, but a lot of it is, self-initiated. You got to go looking, you got to go digging.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know a lot of guys in the dealer circles, so I'm asking a lot of questions on the newer stuff. There is programs available like through some of my parts dealers. I do schooling. Usually it's a couple classes a month in different hybrid systems and start-stop systems, electrical stuff. I used to do and still do a lot of electrical work, a lot of diagnostics, engine stuff. So that's the stuff I enjoy. That's the stuff I really like digging into, and just working on it. As long as you keep working on it, keep seeing the stuff. I got information programs that I pay for every month that help me with specs and stuff like that. So it's very much self-supplied now, I guess, where I'm not in a dealer, not in that kind of setting. But no, it's you want to keep up with it, and you got to take it on yourself. But you definitely want to take lots of courses and lots of classes.
Absolutely, and I guess other than word of mouth, do you how else would you advertise?
Right now, I mean, we're advertising some. I do, sponsor some local events, stuff like that is what I try to do. Word of mouth is the big one for sure. I don't advertise hugely. I mean, we're only just a small shop. There's 2 of us working there full time. So, I don't want to get overwhelmed either. But like I said, word of mouth in a small community is the big one. Quality work and keep the same customers coming back. As long as I got, my customer base and keep everybody coming back, and new customer here and there, it's good.
Well, you said you're a small shop, so you like many others started your shop in the pandemic. So tell me, it was a little bit harder getting going?
I wouldn't say it was as challenging as a lot of other industries. Basically because no matter what, you got to drive, right?
Right.
People have vehicles. Whether they were driving around by themselves or driving around with masks on, it didn't matter. We still had vehicles to fix. Inspections are still coming up, oil changes are still due. So it was a little different there for a while. We had to obviously have some plan in place to have, your masks and your sanitizers for vehicles, and you got to wipe down anything you're working on, and door handles and stuff like that. But overall, it was probably one of the least affected, I would say, industries out there.
Right on. Was it the reason why you decided to shift into your own shop?
So I'd always planned on it. So basically, my mortgage was coming up on the house. We were able to borrow a little bit of money against it, rebuild my shop, go a little bigger. The wife was going off on maternity leave, so I took 6 weeks off to help her, and then just transitioned straight into my own shop. The building was up by then, so it's been coming for a while. But yeah, it just kind of seemed like there's no right time, but the best time, I guess.
Right on. Now, vehicle maintenance and stuff like that, I mean, with the newer vehicles, I know that older vehicles, you didn't really, if you change your oil, once in a while it was okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about newer vehicles. Let's talk about the importance of making sure that everything gets checked and stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, new vehicles, obviously they got a lot more computer systems. Everything's computerized. Everything's monitored. So as far as like your oil changes, a little bit of a difference in viscosity as far as old oil versus new oil can cause issues. Can cause things like engine lights, performance issues. Everything's just built to a little tighter specs, so everything's a little finer, everything's a little thinner. And yeah, maintenance is very important because they're more complicated and they're more involved, I guess, than ever before. And as far as road conditions, obviously, we have a lot of potholes, a lot of that stuff now. Inspections are every 2 years, so the maintenance part is, to get it through every second year is important. And my big one around here is corrosion, salt corrosion stuff. Brakes, stuff like that. You want to keep up on maintenance so that you get your full wear out of it instead of stuff getting seized up and stuck and wearing out quicker than it should. So maintenance really does pay off in the end.
Absolutely. So you do inspections. Is there do you need special training to do that, or how do you apply to the government? Does every shop allowed to inspect?
Nope. So you got to be a licensed inspection station. Obviously, you got to have a licensed mechanic, which I did my licensing through the province. As far as that goes, you got to have a licensed station. You got to be HST registered. You got to have all your equipment. They got to come in and check it over. And then from there on, basically, you just use what you did in school to do your inspections. You've got a handbook you got to follow for specs and things to check. So, and that's how it's done.
So we'll be back after these few messages to finish off these lovely pork chop sandwiches. Welcome back to Easy Eats again, and my name is Chef Yves, and we're at the Greener Villages Learning Kitchen with Luc McLaughlin. Luc, we are going to finish up these sandwiches. So I'm just going to grab a nice crusty roll. I like ciabatta buns, or you can use a nice like sub roll.
Yep.
Whatever works best for you. And then I'm just going to put on a little bit of mustard. We're going to kind of give it a German flair. I don't know why. Well, maybe German because German auto racing, all that other fun stuff, I think is maybe where I thought.
Now, what would other options be, I guess, as far as different flavors, different pairings, different options?
Well, you could, with this, you can build it any way you want, really. We could just put lettuce, tomato, a little bit of mayonnaise, keep it simple. Today, like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of horseradish mayo, some spicy mustard here, and that's just kind of what I like to do. But you can build the sandwich any way you like, right? And you can, like I said, you could change up the protein.
Yep.
You can go chicken and just have a nice chicken, or you can do a chicken parm sandwich, so put a little bit of cheese, some peppers, that kind of idea.
They all sound pretty good, yeah. What about options as far as, dietary options, as far as gluten-free or anything like that?
Well, gluten-free, absolutely. Like you just get yourself a gluten-free bun, and then your breading, same thing. Just you can source out gluten-free breading, so you can totally do that. Or if you want, you can just use cornmeal because cornmeal is gluten-free.
Okay.
So instead of just putting a little bit of cornmeal in your breading, you can make your breading completely cornmeal.
Gotcha.
Right on. So we're going to do this. We're going to put a little bit of microgreens. So these microgreens are fantastic. There's a burst of flavor. My buddy Dan from DC Greens sells them, and I try to use them anytime I can. And he's got a lovely salad mix that works out fantastic.
Perfect.
So we're going to pop that pork chop.
Now these are obviously
right on there.
Fresh and hot. As far as end of a race day and you've haven't gotten through all of them yet, is something we can eat cold at the end of the day type deal, or?
Absolutely. These are fantastic cold. As a cook, I always eat my stuff cold.
End of the day.
At the end of the day,
done,
right?
Yep.
But yeah, these are great. These are great the next morning. Like if you built, like you said, if there's some left over from in the cooler the next day and they're in the fridge, that works out great. And then I'm just going to finish these off with some pickled onions that I pickled probably yesterday, right, like that. And these are just going to add that snap and cut through all that lovely fat. And there we go. We've got a lovely sandwich there, and we'll build another one right here. Again, with a lovely mustard, but you can build it any way you want. If you want to go Swiss cheese and all that fun stuff, you can do that too.
Lots of options.
Lots of options. It's a sandwich at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
Just something quick and easy. just like that. And there we go. Super easy. Lunch anytime. I mean,
Yep.
you can pack these and put them in the fridge at the shop and then eat them that way. Bring them down to race day when you're tailgating. And so you race out at the 660. Have you raced anywhere else?
Oh yeah, we've raced. I even had as far as one race down in Maine.
Okay.
We run PEI, Nova Scotia this year, some. Yeah, all over New Brunswick, Petty, Miramichi, Shediac. So, no, it's very a little bit everywhere. I mean, Gary's obviously closer for us. It's close to home.
Yep.
You know, with the kids, it's a little easier to race close to home and then get home after that. But nope, there's a little bit everywhere. You know, all through the Maritimes.
Right on. So how are your stats?
You know, we've had some success. We've had some championships and some Rookie of the Years and stuff. So, just, you know, hoping to get back to what we can usually do.
Well, that's it. Well, I first heard about you racing is when you won that Ricky Bobby thing up at the Speedway.
Yeah, I guess the first edition of the Ricky Bobby 100. Yeah, that would have been back in 2018. So, no, we won that one. That was a real good year for us, and that was a big race. Whereas, you know, Ricky Bobby, the namesake of the race, he was there for that one himself. So that was a big one for sure. Probably one of the best
Fun.
yet.
So Ricky Bobby, obviously not the Ricky Bobby from the movie, but the Ricky Bobby from the track, right?
Yep. So Arbo, his last name was Arbo, Ricky Arbo. So he was actually at the racetrack. He was a big fan. He was always there. You know, unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago, and that was, I think, one of the last races he got to see was that Ricky Bobby race that was named after him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and he was there. He was in the tech shed, did the opening speech and stuff, and was there to greet us at the finish line. So it was a pretty special one for sure.
Can you express what it feels like to be careening down that oval?
It's a different feeling for sure. I mean, you get, you know, it's not that we're going extremely fast. You're not going 200 miles an hour. But, you know, having that car next to you 3 inches from your door and being, you know, having the nose of your car underneath the tail of the other guy, it's, you know, even though you're not going, like I said, you know, light speed, it's still, it's exciting. It's stressful, it's exciting, it's fun. You know, I can only explain it as going through the corners, it feels like, you know, your 4 tires are scotch tape and you're just trying to push that extra little bit every lap. Like I said, doing that and being on the edge of, shouldn't say out of control, but on the edge of, you know, handling, with another guy being, you know, less than a foot behind you and same thing beside you, and once in a while they hit and they rub, and it's just something that can't be explained quite in words.
Right on. So yeah, and I mean, it must be kind of aggressive, I guess, you guys, because I see the cars get love tapped, and I mean, and your car comes out beat up after every race.
It is. It's very, you know, there's a lot of, you know, they say rubbing is racing, and it's true. There's definitely some respect there that's got to be shown, because, you know, if you're either being a little too aggressive, they'll definitely let you know pretty quick, and you know, it can end up costing you a race or some money, or however, you know, repairs, a week in the shop, whatever it is. So it's no, it's very interesting. It's aggressive. You got to know when to be aggressive and how aggressive to be, and how to make it, you know, how to do it the right way, rather than just be a little belligerent out there and get, you know, I guess reprimanded for it. So
there definitely is a racing etiquette when you're on the track.
Big time, yeah. No, it's, you know, there's a lot of unwritten rules and a lot of respect between drivers. You know, sometimes maybe a little respect between certain drivers, a little less. But I guess that's what makes it interesting, is the storylines and the
rivalries.
You know, the rivalries, there's lots of them for sure.
I want to highlight a little bit about racing and small business owners that are trying to make a way.
Yep, and we really appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate you having me, and you know, kind of highlighting what we do and what we're about, and you know, hopefully have one of these delicious sandwiches.